Thanks for dropping in. So, we've just watched the first scene of Hide and Seek, and it is dramatic. It has dramatic music. There are many stories about that scene, but I'll try and be brief. Firstly, of course, it was shot at night. And it's funny, the first computer room they looked at in the school was not that one. But the reason they picked that one, and this is sort of typical of movie and TV people, is they always want the lighting to be the same. And they wanted to have moonlight. And the room that this was in was on, I'm pretty sure it was the third floor of the school. But anyway, it had an outside window, and they put lights on another thing outside of the window. Some other, I think it was part of a mechanical something or other, that they could aim in. So the moonlight would always be the same. Which, of course, in real life it wouldn't be because the moon moves, but no one will notice. And you know what? It's one of those detail things that they do that no one would probably notice anyway. But, you know, there's always people out there saying, "Ah, look, the shadows have changed." Anyway. So, the pets in the lab were connected by the batteries included arbiter system. And that was one of the many companies that made systems to allow many pets to share one disk drive and one printer, because, of course, printers and disk drives were expensive, and there was no way they were going to have 24 computers, 24 disk drives, 24 printers in a class setting. It just wasn't happening. So many companies, including batteries included, came up with a system. Comspec made one. Richfield Telecommunications, I think. Anyway, all kinds. And a lot of them are around Toronto because, of course, there was a lot of pets in Ontario schools. So, here's what happened. As you see, it's dramatic music, and the camera is moving in. And if I'm not mistaken, it was on a dolly. And I think they had to move some obstructions and things so they could get in there. But we ran into a problem, and that is that the timing of them hitting their mark to go to the screen when the computer was supposed to start up was not happening. So I think they tried it 2 or 3 times when I said, "Hang on, let me see about this." So this is one of the times I used, and this is why it's important when you're having a consultant from the outside world do something, that they know the system, and they know the computers, and they know what's what. So, on, I think it was the 4th try, I very quickly set it up that one of the machines on the back side of that group of 6 was also on, but I turned the level of the monitor way down so you couldn't see even any reflection or anything in any window. But what I did was I quickly did a program in there that would lock up the IEEE bus, so it would look to the disk drive. And see, that's what the arbiter system did. It would not let people like write over each other and do other things. So by me locking up the bus, it meant the other computer, if it was looking to do something with the disk drive, it couldn't do it. So it would just have to sit and wait. That's the whole thing of the system. So I quickly added a little bit of, not code, but I did some programming on the machine that was supposed to appear that it came to life, so that it would look for the, I think it was just look for the disk status, which of course it couldn't get because the disk bus was all locked up tight. Why? Because the other machine had it locked up tight. So, and how then did we make sure that the timing was right? Well, it was simple, really. I went under the desk and I put my hand up over the desk, much like this. And then I could peek out ever so gently towards the back of the room where there was, I mean, the room looks empty, but the room is full. There's all kinds of people, there's all kinds of equipment, there's all kinds of stuff. So I could sit there, and I guess my feet were towards the back of the room, my head, whatever, so I could peek out, and it was probably this hand. But anyway, so I could peek out, but not be seen. Nobody knew I was there. Of course, and, they're all filming from the other side, and wait. There was this lady who was I guess a production assistant, but also, from what I understand, she was a stunt woman and other things. Anyway, I would peek my head just ever so slightly, and they would be doing their thing to move into position. And then, I'm not sure if somebody cued her, but she cued me. And as she cued me, who had my hand up, I would just ever so gently press the space bar, and then very slowly release it so it didn't make any noise. And then that would release the bus. The program on the other side would then, of course, be able to see the disk status, and then the program would appear, and the computer would look like it fired up on itself, and the timing would be right. And we did that once with that system, and it worked just dandy, and that was the end of that. Another thing is, in that scene, and I know it's a very quick scene and all, there was the sound of the pet waking up, and the sound of the disk drive whirring and chattering. And, in these movie things, they do sound things at the time, but certainly they didn't do the dramatic music at the time. And anyway, the actual sound of the pet firing up was recorded by a sound man who came to my house and did many recordings of the pet chirp and also of the disk drive chatter and other things. But we'll talk about that more later. So let's look at the scene again. Now that you know a little bit more, just let me look if there was anything else I missed. No, that's pretty much it. So let's look at the scene again and see it with new eyes, knowing that I am under the desk, peeking out. Basically, wanting to make sure that as soon as I get the cue that I do exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, so that it all works. It's all good. It's all dandy. So, let's look at the scene again, and we'll carry on with more scenes. So here comes the camera. The dramatic music is playing, which is actually hard to speak over. I am hiding on the floor, in silence, of course, because there's nothing going on in terms of that. And all I want to do is get this where it gets to this perfect position. The computer starts up. The little bit of text appears at the top of the screen. And then they carry on with close-up shots and stuff. But it's funny when you do things like this. It looks so simple, but yet it takes hours and hours and hours.